If we as Christians don't have children, who will be God's army? Good morning, guys, and welcome back to my channel where we're about that breaking cycles life. For today's encouragement, guys, I wanted to I was doing my devotion this morning and I was reading Joel, and then I don't know, but I focused in on a verse that spoke about teaching children, and then I chose a different verse for it because I think this one is a better one. But today's encouragement is just to emphasize that the importance of teaching children the way to go, right? And I know we all know the cliche, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. But right now, for today's encouragement, I'm going to focus on Deuteronomy 6, verse 7. And this actually is repeated a lot in Deuteronomy, because when Moses was given the law, when God through Moses was given the law, God emphasized on this a lot, right? And it just goes to show the importance of teaching children the way to go in regards to God. So Deuteronomy 6 verse 7 says, "You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up." Okay, and I'll even go further to do verse 8. It says, "You shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes." And verse 9, "You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates." Guys, this is talking in regards to the commandments and basically the rules of God, right? It actually brought me back to a point where I was talking to a church member at one point, and I was at the point, I think around 22 or something like that of the sort, and I was 22, 21, thereabouts. And I was like, I'm not having kids in this time. And I'm pretty sure others out there have said this very same thing, because I hear people right now, Christians right now, they're like, I'm not having children in this time because it's going to be super difficult to have children. And you know what the person responded to me? She's like, Shanique, that's the very same thing that I said when I was younger. And then a church sister told her this: if we as Christians don't have children, who will be God's army? Who will God use to fight for him? And it hit me at that time when I think we're doing exercise at the time. And she said that to me. I was like, wow, that's so true, because the devil is definitely making his children, right? And we see that all around, that, okay, the generations coming up, they are increasingly stepping away from God. And we are seeing a smaller amount of Christian children. When she said that to me, I was like, wow. And she also went further to be like, I want my children to have Christian friends. So I encourage my friends to have children, because who will my children play with? And it's not to say that we are going to just seclude ourselves to only have Christian friends, but it is necessary to have friends of the faith. And how great would it be if you have a child friendship where both of you are Christians and working towards the same goal. It's so refreshing to have a friend who has the same goal as you, who is just like-minded as you, who are going after Jesus just like you, right, guys? And this stems from teaching your children. It stems from parents teaching their children, because if if my mother didn't instill these principles in me from a very young age, yes, at the time I didn't understand, and yes, I fought, but I understood why she was teaching me these things, because she explained it. And it was just my sinful nature, my rebellious nature, that I was like, okay, yes, I know that these things are right, but still, yes. And it is very important for our parents, or we as future parents, to instill God's law, God's principles in our children. And if you have children right now, it's very important for us to instill God's principles. And you see how he structured it. This is the reason why I chose this verse, and then I went further to read the rest of verses 7, 8, and 9, right? You see what he says? He says, you shall teach them diligently to your children. You shall talk of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, when you rise up. Everything that you do should have a lesson in it, okay? Everything you do should have a lesson in it as a parent, right? It doesn't matter what scenario you're in, there must be some talk of Jesus, because he made us and he made every scenario, right? And it's for us to look at it and be like, okay, you know, what lesson can I teach my child out of this? And that's how I view life. Like every single scenario, I'm like, okay, what lesson can I learn from this? Because it has been instilled in me to know, to be like, okay, yes, look at what's going on around you. Be observant, Shani, and realize that everything is not just, okay, in Chinese it's suibian, like so-so. It's like you just don't care about what's going on around you. You should be cognizant of what is going on around you, right? And you should take a lesson out of it. And I've learned this lesson has been deeply instilled in me more since I came to China. You know, as you grow, the lessons taught to you come alive more in your life, right? And it actually ties to train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Because when I see things around me, and then I remember the lessons that were taught to me, I'm like, okay, maybe that's not the best decision to make. Maybe that's not the best place to go, you know? And it's because, my mother has instilled certain principles in me, right? And that should be our aim as future parents, as aunties, uncles, brothers, sisters, right? If we realize that there is a child around us, we should be aiming as a community to teach the children the way of Christ, so that we can have more children coming to Christ and not running away from the church, not so sad, right? Not running away from the church, and are bold enough to proclaim that Christ is their Lord and Savior. So teaching our children is great, is important, guys. It is greatly important, and we should aim to do that in everything that we do. Every single scenario that we come upon, we should find a lesson to teach about Christ, right? And let's not just leave it for the world to teach them, because the world will teach them if if we don't teach them about Christ, right? And the perception the world has of Christ is not necessarily the true perception. And we should take note of that, that every single thing needs to be checked in regards to our children. And we ought to make sure that we are also living the life. Please, let's not exercise hypocrisy, where we tell them something, we teach them about Christ, but then we don't exercise the same. We don't practice what we preach, basically. So that is also because children learn, that's also important, because children learn from observing, right? And if you're not living the things that, if you're not living the principles that you are teaching, then your words will definitely go in vain. And your children will be like, okay, what are you doing? Basically, my parents or the people around me are hypocrites. And that's what we can see in this day and age, where we see the youths leaving the church, right? So yeah, that's really a reminder for today, especially if you're parents or aunties, uncles, whoever you are. If you have a child in your sphere, be mindful of what you're teaching them, and be cognizant that we ought to use every scenario to teach them about God and about God's love, his rules, his guidelines, every single thing about him, because that's what God requires us to do. And we should live Christ in such a way that our children will want to love him the way that we have grown to love him, right? So yeah, that's our encouragement for today. I hope you guys have a great day and be blessed. Bye-bye. Hey guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's encouragement, and I hope you guys are ready for the day ahead. Now do me a favor and press that like button and subscribe button if you are new, so that we can get more of this positive Christian content out into the world, okay? And I'll link my daily devotional playlist right here and my Let's Talk playlist if you want to tackle some social issues, okay? So have a great day guys. Bye-bye.